time for Brand Touch. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Who gets it done? We're leaning on each other. It's Joey Rainey. It's Andrew Bound coming to the stripe. Stone Cooley's right there with him. Checkered flag is out. Who gets it done? It's a photo finish for Brand Touch coming to the line.
For the push, I don't know. This is going to be a photo finish.
Oh, Stone Cooley taking the checkered flag to the inside. Who's it going to be? It's a photo finish. Give it to Brendan Burt. Conquers Watkins Glen. Gets turned across the line.
Thank you for joining us, folks. Thank you very much for staying tuned. It's a pleasure. Good evening and welcome to Virginia International Raceway, where tonight West Coast Sim Racing brings Formula 4 to one of the most demanding natural terrain road courses in North America for round 2 of the GTF Challenge. After opening the season in GT3 machinery, the championship now shifts to Formula cars, and that means a completely different kind of test. At VIR, precision matters, momentum matters, and every mistake carries a price. Through Oak Tree, S's, the roller coaster, and Hogpen, the circuit rewards confidence, discipline, and drivers who can stitch the whole lap together. In Formula 4, that challenge becomes even sharper. These cars reward clean inputs, commitment through the fast sections, and patience in the technical ones. At a place like VIR, rhythm is everything, and one small mistake can cost more than just a single corner. Round 2 is where our championship begins to take shape. The field is stepping into a new car, the pressure is building, and the drivers who adapt the quickest could take a big early advantage. Welcome to West Coast Sim Racing in Formula 4 at VIR. Round 2 of the GTF Challenge, and it's time to go racing. Couple of keys to the race that'll look awful familiar this week: commitment through the S's, maximizing the Oak Tree exit, staying disciplined under braking, and trying to stitch the full lap together with rhythm and commitment. It'll be 3.2 miles around the 17-turn corner here in Alton, Virginia. Track that opened in 1957, has been running since the 2000s. Taking a look at the grid of drivers that we have on display tonight. So far, it'll be Fletcher leading the top of the charts. Warren Johnson running down in P11 in the sessions. Well, about to tick over. What can Benito Gonzalez do from down on the order? On board with Gonzalez now, coming through corner number 1. Let's see what it's like to do a full lap on board, but he will abandon this one, and that will be P3 for Gonzalez Benito. Colton Juarez in the 186 trying to get things done, but the session is going to be concluded. Take a look at our starting grid. It will be Fletcher and Edwin Onofre alongside each other. And then Benito Gonzalez and Connor Cunningham alongside each other on row number 2. Brandon Birch and Josh Hunter on that third row. Row number 4 going to Alexe Andreu and Brennan Myers. Row number 5 going the way of Dylan Lee and Colton Juarez. Row number 6 for Warren Johnson and Boris Dragovich. Row number 7 going to be Colin Thomas and Jacob Bolin. We're all the Bolin fans in the chat today. And then we have row number 8 for Nico Colby. Drivers revving their engines, rearing, and ready to go. And it'll be green, green, green. And it looks like Benito Gonzalez is the one who dropped the clutch and got the better of the launches on the rest of the field. Got one done on Edwin Onofre. Can he get the same done on Jeremy Fletcher right now? No can-do'sville for Benito Gonzalez and Jeremy Fletcher right now. Here's Jeremy Fletcher leading the charge currently. Connor T. Cunningham losing a position now down in 5th place. Colin Thomas and Jacob Bolin going wheel to wheel, and Bolin's going to find a way through at left hook. Joshua Smith in the YouTube chat cheering on Bolin. There we go. I knew the Bolins were out there somewhere. Fletcher right now leading at Oak Tree by just about a half a second. Getting a slow, though, out on exit. We said that the exit of Oak Tree was the most important part of the racetrack, and Fletcher seemingly got it wrong. Big help of draft down the back straight for the 101 of Benito Gonzalez and his chase down of Jeremy Fletcher. Two heats for us this evening, folks, so don't go anywhere. Heat number 1, just a 15-minute splash. And then we have the full-length heat coming up right after this. Edwin Onofre tries to chase down Benito Gonzalez in their head-to-head. Wheels dipped off into the grass a little bit on entry. Look back at the 36 of Brandon Birch in the Apex Motor Club VehicleBuyers.com machine. Chasing down up ahead is Edwin Onofre in that 199 from Techsport Racing. A lot different than the race we saw earlier on in the day in the GT3 machinery in the wet for the Sausage Dodgers. Now we're in the F4s here at VIR. On board with Edwin Onofre, driver of the 199. Let's see how much the tow is here. It's enormous. And Onofre just getting dragged into Gonzalez's rear wing before we get down to the roller coaster section and hit the brakes. It's full commitment and bravery through the final sector, turn 15, 16, and hog pen. Onofre all over the rear wing of Gonzalez. Now moves over to the racing line, steps out from the draft. Can he get the switchback engaged? Not quite yet. He goes over to the apex, but Benito is there to occupy it. Gonzalez there in that 101 teal machine. Take a look at Connor T. Cunningham and his pursuit of Dylan Lee and Birch, who have snatched up positions from him. Benito Gonzalez. I knew a little bit of trouble at South Bend has Edwin Onofre right on that gearbox. And Onofre has a little bit of a mistake, but that's because Jeremy Fletcher is the one that's off. Fletcher off at Oak Tree, pushing a little too hard, will tumble down the order. This gives a huge break for the trio for the lead. Benito Gonzalez, Brandon Birch, and Edwin Onofre. Birch finds a way up into P1 at the end of all things said and done. Benito Gonzalez and Edwin Onofre running P2 and P3 as they were before. Edwin Onofre chases down Gonzalez and the pursuit continues. What's going on, Steve Birch? Welcome into the YouTube chat as always. Made it just in time for the Birch bandwagon. Oh, Birch is off. Birch is off at turn number 5. Birch goes off the track. He resumes, but he's going to lose a handful of positions. Side by side up the hill through the S's is not where we need to be. He's going to lose 1. He's going to lose 2. Now Alexei Andreu is there as well at left hook, the South Bend, excuse me. Alexei goes off and unable to retort. Birch back into 5th position. Let's see how Birch went off the track. Oh, this was much earlier. We have to take a look at this. Birch, a little bit of a tank slapper, sends him off into the grass, and that'll do it for him. And that gives back over the lead now to Benito Gonzalez, qualified in P3, gaining 2 positions. Edwin Onofre back into 2nd, where he belongs. Edwin Onofre must have heard me saying right where he belongs, because he's not too keen about that. Wants to go for the lead of this race here in the GTF Challenge. Around the outside at corner number 1. It's going to be tight between the duo, but Onofre can handle the charge and gets it done at turn 2 before we get to NASCAR. What about Dylan Lee, up 6 positions on his good right now? Connor Cunningham obviously about to change things up on that gain, side by side up the hill through the S's. This will be flat out commitment between the 2 and the 502 all the way through left hook to South Bend, side by side into Oak Tree is where they finally settle down, single file line. Single file line, Gonzalez leads the trio, or the quattro, or the quintuplet, I should say, because Connor T. Cunningham and Birch involved in this, with Alexe Andreu and Fletcher going wheel to wheel coming out of Hogpen. Andreu with a couple wheels off into the grass on entrance to corner number 1. Fletcher continues to charge behind Brandon Birch. Edwin Onofre up the road by around 0.8 of a second from this 5-way battle. Dylan Lee in third behind Connor Cunningham. We're well and through the halfway point of this race. We're into the final 5 at this point of the race. The 5:02 goes off at South Bend. Able to recover and keep the car beneath him, though. There's a big look from Jeremy Fletcher coming down the back stretch. Not happy with one. He wants 2 positions, but can he make it stick? It doesn't look like it all the way. He can only make the 1 stick on Brandon Birch. There's Jeremy Fletcher going wheel to wheel with Benito Gonzalez. Coming out of the hog pen, Benito nearly clips his front wing into Jeremy Fletcher's rear. Brandon Birch, in his pursuit of a podium, is in 5th place right now. He's looking forward to getting one done on Dylan Lee up the road. Jeremy Fletcher, though, has just been an absolute animal tonight. Whoa, there goes a big off. That'll be Dylan Lee way off at South Bend before we got down to Oak Tree. And who's that in avoidance? Warren Johnson in avoidance goes around Dylan Lee there. Alexe Andreu chases down Birch after all the kerfuffle settles down. Here comes Alexe on Birch, side by side, down the hill into the roller coaster. Alexe sends it, but with a huge lockup, loses everything that he's gained. Battle between Onofre and Gonzalez across the stripe. It'll be this lap plus 1 more for the leaders right now. Warren Johnson and Colton Juarez here battle for the top 10. Up ahead is Dylan Lee, who had his hectic moment coming through the South Bend. Edwin out of left hook leads Gonzalez all the way to the Oak Tree. but Gonzalez is able to close down his margin, with the draft helping him immensely. The gap that was 0.6 of a second gets split down in half on the penultimate lap. Warren Johnson and Colton Juarez here, the 186, looking up the inside line down the back stretch. This is where we're going to see a move for the lead take place coming into the final run. Warren Johnson checks up on the brakes, lets the 186 through. And here comes Onofre on defense coming into the first corner. Onofre needs to stitch this one together one final time. Has been a very hard-fought race, full of commitment and dedication from the drivers to make sure they got through cleanly. And those that didn't, well, they paid the price here at FIA. On board with Gonzalez now in his pursuit of P1 for heat number 1. Wouldn't think about sending it to the inside line from that far back on Edwin Onofre. Edwin Onofre is going to come home in P1 at the end of the day in front of Benito Gonzalez in P2. Third place goes back to Jeremy Fletcher. We'll get the official results posted here in just a minute, folks. But what a battle for the lead we just witnessed. From mistakes and heartbreaks at Oak Tree, from the run down the backstretch and the draft helping drivers get those overtakes done. Man, oh man, was this a race of the life. Here are the unofficial results. Onofre, Gonzalez, and Fletcher, with the Nico Colby being the hard charger tonight. And then we had Birch, Connor Cunningham, Brennan Myers, Alex Andreu, Dylan Lee, Colton Juarez, Warren Johnson, Josh Hunter, Nico Colby, Colin Thomas, Boris Dragovich, and Jacob Bond rounding out the 15 drivers. And we're going to have a brief warm-up period before we get started, folks. Want to give a big shout-out and thanks to everybody who's been joining us all week long, every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday here on West Coast Sim Racing. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Get notifications for West Coast Sim Racing or when AK Esports goes live next. in the warm-up period. We have a few moments to sit back and ride on board with Colton Juarez as he comes through turn 5. Out of the snake, up the hill to the S's. Big moment of oversteer there for Juarez. And a slight airborne moment coming through the South Bend, and the warm-up session is going to conclude, and Colton Juarez brings it to a screeching halt. Let's take a look at our grid, shall we? On row number 1, it's going to be Onofre and Benito Gonzalez starting there. On row number 2, it'll be Fletcher and Birch. On row number 3, it's going to be Connor Cunningham and Brennan Myers. Row number 4 for Alexei Andreu and Dylan Lee. Row number 5 going the way for Colton Juarez and Warren Johnson. Row number 6 for Josh Hunter and Nico Colby. Row number 7 is going to be for Colton Thomas and Boris Dragovich. And row number 8 is going to be lonely for Jacob Ballin. But here we go, ready to race, folks. Fletcher dives to the inside line, but Gonzalez covers that one off. Whereas Edwin Onofre, starting from pit lane, has a black flag penalty. So our Heat 1 winner having some challenges, and speaking of challenges, there's Boris Dragovich going off, Jacob Ballin going off, Dylan Lee. Onofre catching up, but still has that black flag to serve. Benito Gonzalez has the inside compromised by Jeremy Fletcher and the likes of Brandon Birch now. Birch attacks hard on Fletcher at Oak Tree, finds the inside line, gets on the loud pedal, and will be in front. That leaves Brennan Myers to defend back Benito Gonzalez, but also the opportunity to attack Fletcher now. Here we go into the roller coaster. One of the most iconic parts of the circuit. A massive elevation change here. All the way down into Hogpen. Nose to tail between Birch and Fletcher. Hopefully it stays right for Birch this time round. We all know how things get when it comes down to Fletcher. He likes to get racy. He likes to control the field. Here we go. He gets into the lead in front of Birch, compromises his run. That'll slow him down and open up the attacks from behind on Birch, which is exactly what Fletcher wants, but Birch sends it back up at NASCAR Bend all the way through left hook. It belongs to Birch, then Fletcher, and then Myers. Here goes Fletcher at Oak Tree on Birch. The door was left slightly ajar, and that's all the invitation Fletcher needed. Now Fletcher tries to shake off the slipstream. Brennan Myers there as well in third position. Shaking and baking, finds a way to the inside line. Birch defends squarely against Myers behind. Order of operations is Fletcher, Birch, Myers, Gonzalez, Andreu, then Nico Colby. Nico, who was pretty much nowhere to be found in the first race, now sits less than a second off of P1. Drivers fanning out for their varied positions that they want. 3 wide coming through corner number 1 between the Quattro. Everybody's jostling for position here. Fletcher now loses the lead to Brandon Birch all over again. Only 2 laps into this race. It's hard to tell who's got the better of the pace, but Fletcher takes off after a mistake from Birch, leaves the field bunched up. Big slip, trip, and fall. That'll be wowza. Who is that? Colton Juarez. Yes, it is. Up ahead, the young gun Nico Colby and Brendan Myers wheel to wheel now. Birch now sits behind Fletcher. Around the outside is a dangerous place to be at turn 1. It's an awful flat corner. Can he get the switchback? But the switchback will leave him compromised to the inside where Fletcher wants to be for NASCAR bend. A little flick into NASCAR bend leaves Fletcher in the lead in front of Birch still, but a mistake from Fletcher slightly ajar through left hook. And allows Birch to stay within striking distance. Nico Colby there in 4th place now, looking for gains. Big mistake from behind. I think Nico Colby was involved in that one. He was. Back up to the battle for the lead. Fletcher, Birch, Hunter, Gonzalez. Birch now ahead of Fletcher at the roller coaster. Gets the move done. All his battling, though, is going to bring along the likes of Josh Hunter, Benito Gonzalez eventually. .149's flat for the leaders pretty much. Last time by Fletcher ahead of Birch. Coming out of turn 2, Fletcher with a mount of the sausage. Now loses a little bit of ground to Birch, but no, it's not enough for Birch to close down the gap. Nico Colby here behind Warren Johnson has Connor T. Cunningham around him. Oh, big mistake there from Nico Colby. Big mistake from Warren Johnson, but it was the biggest for Nico Colby, who rejoins the racetrack behind Connor Cunningham, but ahead of Alexei Andreu. Birch chases down Fletcher. Battle here between the 22 and the 36, separated by under half a second. Time delta, though, coming down in Birch's favor. Benito Gonzalez alongside Josh Hunter coming through the first pair of corners. Josh Hunter snapping back. We'll send it here at NASCAR Bend all the way out to the painted green lines before we get down to left hook, and the battle is settled with Josh Hunter being in third and Benito Gonzalez, the newcomer, in the 101 being in fourth. But I feel like that's only a temporary solution to a permanent problem. Nico Colby chases down Alexe Andreu in that number 19. Alexe down quite a bit now. Currently running in P8, but the low has been P9. Up ahead, Birch and Fletcher. Not done just yet. Birch almost touches Fletcher coming through turn one, but stays out of the way of doing so. Fletcher gets two wheels off into the grass, but carries that speed and momentum. He's able to defend again, but a touch, though, between himself and Birch will slow them both down. Birch tries to get something done at left hook, but to no avail. Fletcher is still there. Birch really closed down the gap on Jeremy Fletcher. Here at South Bend, it's nose to tail into Oak Tree as well. The JFR machine, wow, gets a wiggle on exit, and that really might compromise his run and allow Brandon Birch to get there. Birch is there, presents himself alongside Fletcher. The run down the back stretch, the inside line goes Fletcher's way. Birch backs out of it at the last second. Josh Hunter here and Benito Gonzalez. It's still the battle for the lead at the halfway point of this race as we just get to it. Between Birch and Fletcher loses ground. Fletcher loses it coming through Oak Tree. West Coast Sim Racing replay of what happened here. Fletcher losing it into Oak Tree. Gonna send him around. He's gonna have to do all that hard work over again. Brandon Birch into the lead of this one, and that's gonna make Steve Birch pretty happy. Sitting pretty with a 3.5 second gap. Benito Gonzalez has got his hands full with Josh Hunter on his rear wing and gearbox. Josh Hunter on the attack right now to Benito Gonzalez, who started the race in P2. Josh Hunter trying to thwart any attempt of that held position. Here we go. Josh Hunter charges behind Benito Gonzalez up the hill at the S's, but cannot do anything about that momentum and speed that he's carrying. Except for go off the grass with it because he's carrying so much speed. Josh Hunter, the 81, recovers at Oak Tree behind, but now both drivers dip their wheels off into the kitty litter and compromise their run down the entire back stretch. And who's that? It's none other than Jeremy Fletcher, just 1 second back from this podium battle. Josh Hunter to the inside at turn one on Benito Gonzalez. Gets the move secured, but Benito has been a fighter all race long. Final 10 minutes of this race, meaning we'll only get 6 more laps. There's Gonzalez trying to go the long way around the outside of the 81 of Josh Hunter, but to no avail this time round. Fletcher now sits behind Gonzalez. How long is that going to last? Not very long, as Fletcher licks the stamp and sends it on Benito at the Oak Tree. Edwin Onofre trying to recover any resemblance of points tonight. Battles it out with Boris Dragovic. The 848 right up the road from the Ford Performance Machine. Fletcher no longer behind, is fully alongside Josh Hunter for the battle for P2. Jeremy Fletcher gets the move done before we got even into turn one's apex. And now I have a feeling like Fletcher, Hunter, and Gonzalez are going to work together to try to catch up to Onofre. Hunter continues his charge, up 8 positions this evening. Sits patiently behind Fletcher. Sits patiently behind Fletcher, I should say, for now. I'm sure when we get closer to the final 5 minutes of this event, the gloves are going to come off. The drivers are going to get a little bit, well, a little bit rude with each other, per se. Boris Dragovich and Colin Thomas here. Colin Thomas, a little far back, 1 second down the road from Boris Dragovich here. Back up to Jeremy Fletcher. It's 2.6 seconds back from Brandon Birch. Let's check out the head-to-head. Says the catch is on in 4 laps. Do we have enough time left for Fletcher to catch back up? But it's to no avail as he makes a huge mistake coming through South Bend and into the oak tree. It will go wrong for Fletcher. The trio that was working together now no longer has its spear. Birch still in the lead by 2.6 seconds. The gap has come down between Hunter and Birch. It was sitting at 3.5 seconds with Fletcher leading them. And Fletcher is going to be out of contention for this one. Final 5 on the clock, folks. Warren Johnson getting wheels touching with Connor T. Cunningham. The 502. They'll go side by side from turn 1 all the way through NASCAR Bend into left hook. Connor T. Cunningham leads Warren Johnson now. Battle for 8th and 7th. Settled behind with Colton Juarez, now 6th and 7th for Connor Cunningham and Warren Johnson. What's going on here between Josh Hunter and Benito Gonzalez? The 81 and the 101. Separated by just about a nil. This one's not over yet till the fat lady sings. Up ahead, you can see Birch crossing the line. 2 to go as the leader crosses the line. Birch in the lead of this one by a long shot right now. It should be Barney waving the white flag this time by. What can the 101 do from third place? Benito Gonzalez has looked great all race long. Hope he comes back for another run. Here he goes on Josh Hunter. Down the back stretch, into the roller coaster, wheel to wheel. But Gonzalez backs out of it at the last moment. Birch ready to take the white flag from Barney the flagman. Then there it is, Barney waving the flag furiously for Brandon Birch. Josh Hunter and Benito Gonzalez wheel to wheel yet again at corner number 1. Gaps pretty far apart everywhere else in the field except for here. Gonzalez has the momentum up the hill on Josh Hunter. 40 seconds remain on the clock. Benito Gonzalez too far back to make anything happen this time by. The draft is powerful, though. He looks to the inside at the entrance to the roller coaster. He mounts the curb. He'll attack Josh Hunter, but Hunter defends fair and square, and he'll be ahead in P2. But all this goes the way for Josh Hunter at the end of the day, who comes home in P1. Burn it down, Birch. We'll get the unofficial results posted here in just a few moments. And we'll get the drivers pulled in, ready for their interviews as well. Here are the results for the GTF Challenge. Brandon Birch, Josh Hunter, Benito Gonzalez took the 1, 2, 3. And Alexei Andreu came home in 4th. Brendan Myers in 5th. Connor Cunningham in 6th. Warren Johnson in 7th. Colton Juarez, Edwin Odefree, Boris Dragovich, Colin Thomas, Jeremy Fletcher, Jacob Ballin, Nico Colby, Dylan Lee round out the 15 drivers. Let's go ahead and talk to our interviewees. First and foremost, we'll go ahead and talk to Benito Gonzalez, but I don't think we have Benito Gonzalez here, so we'll go ahead and talk to Josh Hunter, number 81, who brought it home in P2. What a run for you, Josh Hunter, tonight.
Yeah, this car is tough for me to get used to. That's all I'm going to say about the car, but it's a lot of fun. I love VIR, so there's nothing wrong with that either.
It looked like a fun combo out there. You were able to charge through the field to be the hard charger, gaining 9 positions this evening. How is it for the feature race to make those 9 positions up?
Well, if I didn't lock up my brakes on the first race, I wouldn't have had to make up 9 positions, but I also got lucky that there was a lot of accidents in the second race, so that's how those positions got made up. Also, was able to stay in the draft of Jeremy for a lap before he died, so I also got lucky there.
Do you think that if Jeremy hadn't basically committed Sukubu, that basically you guys would have been able to catch up to Brandon Birch?
I think in his draft we could have gotten closer. I'm just glad he didn't take me out, and that's a relief. I was more scared about that than him killing himself.
Very fair. Josh Hunter, is anybody you want to shout out or anybody you want to thank tonight?
Just you for the broadcast, Warren for the league, and everyone else that joins the races, makes it fun and clean and stuff.
Thank you very much, Josh Hunter. Have a great night, my friend, and stay safe out there.
You too.
Looks like we do have our third place finisher, Benito Gonzalez. Benito, coming home in P3 for your debut here for West Coast Sim Racing isn't too bad. How does it feel to be on the podium?
It feels good to hear that on a broadcast. I really wasn't expecting to pull this off today. I was just going to be happy if I even so much as got like top 5. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really happy. I am drenched in sweat. I had a big glob of sweat getting to my eye halfway through the 30-minute race. So that was fun trying to deal with.
Yeah, man. And you had a lot of good battles out there. I mean, getting a taste of the Fletcher dose of medicine, battled with Brandon Birch, and then the good battles that you had out there with Josh Hunter towards the end. You know, which one was your favorite if you had to pick any driver that you really contended with tonight?
Man, I honestly have to say with Edwin at the start of the 50-minute race, I was really trying to hold him off, but when he got me on the outside, that was just, I'll give him credit. That was great.
Yeah, credit where credit is due. Can't even be mad about that one. Now, Benito, here on your debut of West Coast Sim Racing, is there anybody you'd like to shout out, thank?
Everyone involved in making this happen, you guys, the racers. Want to shout out my coach, Sebastian Diefenbach. He's trying to become a coach right now anyways. And also, if any of you know of him, Leo Avtorachov, he's racing in like Skip Barber right now in the virtual series. He actually helped me out and coached my laps one time and just opened my eyes to a lot of like how to use downforce and stuff like that. So yeah.
Right on, Benito. Hopefully we'll see you back for more West Coast Sim Racing events here in the future. Thank you very much for joining us to support the endeavors. Have a great night, brother, and stay safe out there.
You too, guys.
Last but not least, it's going to be Brandon Birch, the number 36, bringing home in victory lane for the feature race. How does it feel, Birch, to be at the top step of the podium after being drenched in sweat with battling the likes of Jeremy Fletcher tonight?
I know it feels good. You know, Jeremy and I always have fun going back and forth, high-low on each other is always a good time. So sucks that he crashed a couple times, and I was just trying to keep it on the track. That car gets very slick if you hit the grass, which I figured out in the first stint. So I really didn't think I was going to have any pace. I don't ever really drive these cars much. So I got in practice a little bit earlier, was spending some laps. And then once we were in the first race, I was like, all right, well, maybe I'm not too far off. I just got to not crash and maybe we'll be all right. So a couple things happened. I was able to get around some people and just kind of slow and steady up at the front. So it worked out.
It definitely did. Your pace was there, and keeping it consistent seemed to be the key to victory tonight. You know, what was it that you were able to do, even despite battling, you were able to keep it pretty fast out on the racetrack?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was figuring out the brakes in those cars. Like Josh said, it's going to take some getting used to in these cars for sure. I mean, we all raced the GT3s and GT4s, and obviously we do the Mazda and GR League, and it's way different than these cars. So the brakes are tough. They're really easy to lock up in this car, and obviously if you lock up, you're screwed. So that was the main thing I was focusing on the whole time. Every corner, I was like, "Don't lock the brakes, idiot." So
Well, you managed to tell yourself that enough times around VIR, 15 times to be exact this time, Pi. Well, Brandon Birch, is there anybody you'd like to shout out or thank here in Victory Lane?
yeah, you for the broadcast, Warren for the league. It's always a good time for sure. Vehiclebuyers.com, my dad and Steck in the chat watching. I appreciate you guys being a part of it and watching every week. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Birch. Have a great night, brother, and stay safe out there.
See ya.
Wrapping things up with Warren Johnson. Warren, how did your race go tonight? It seems like you were a silent but deadly killer with 3 positions gained on the evening.
Yeah, that was a great race. That was really fun. My wrists are hurting. I got to probably turn down the force feedback a little bit, but that was a much better race than I anticipated. The racing style is a little different in these cars than it is with the Miatas or the 86s or even the GT3s. So you're not pack racing the whole time, and you kind of got to get around people differently. Get a good exit. Exit speeds are important because then you got the whole straightaway. You pass them in the next turn, and then that's kind of the racing here. So that was a good one.
Yeah, these are very draft sensitive machines and low horsepower machines as well. So a lot different than the wheel to wheel battling that we've seen amongst the GR86s and the Mazda MX5s, as we saw at Long Beach, even one car going on top of the other. Surprisingly, 0% of that happened tonight. I don't think we saw a single car go on top of another, despite it being an open wheel event. So hats off to the drivers to being well skilled to go wheel to wheel and not take each other out.
Yeah, very impressive driving from my guys tonight. So I'm always happy when there's very few wins. I know there was a couple, but it's our first time racing these in this league, so it's bound to happen. But I think these guys did a really good job all week. So, but yeah, other than that, it was a great race. Sagar, thanks for broadcasting as always, brother. You're doing a great job, man. Everyone's loving it. So we'll see you on Monday at Circuit de Ledenen for GRs.
Sounds good, my friend. Have a great night and stay safe out there.
You as well.
That's going to wrap things up for us here tonight on behalf of West Coast Sim Racing, on behalf of AK Esports. It's been a pleasure to take you from green to checkered flag. I've been your host, Sagar Bakshi, on behalf of AK Esports. Have a great night, folks. And as always, make sure you stay safe out there. Join us next week on Monday for GR86, Wednesday for Mazda MX-5, and again next Thursday for GT3s. Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.